This curious contraption feels impossibly heavy in my hand, but it's the grinding teeth inside that hint at its true purpose. A sturdy wooden crank turns a series of gears, ready to decimate whatever drops into this funnel. On the side, a large bracket is clearly designed to clamp onto something, perhaps a workbench or a sturdy bucket rim. It feels substantial, built to last generations, with a satisfying heft to its cold metal. The whole piece is worn smooth in places from countless hours of use, but its purpose, even its basic function, is completely lost to most modern eyes. Take a good look. Do you know what this was for? Most people have no idea. This unassuming piece of farm machinery is a corn sheller. Long before modern combines and powerful threshers, this hand-crank device was an absolute workhorse on the American farm, especially from the mid-1800s right through to the early 20th century. Its job was simple yet vital: to strip dried kernels from ears of corn with remarkable speed and efficiency. Imagine a farmer in the 1880s, perhaps early morning, the air crisp with the promise of a new day. He'd clamp this sheller to the side of a wooden barrel or a heavy bucket. Then, with one hand, he'd feed a dried ear of corn into the top funnel. With the other, he'd turn the crank. Inside, a rotating cylinder, often with sharp metal teeth or an abrasive surface, would grab the ear and strip the kernels right off. The shelled kernels would tumble down into the awaiting bucket, while the bare cob was ejected from a separate chute. For feeding livestock, hogs, chickens, cattle, or for grinding into meal, or even for saving seed for next year's crop, this was the fastest way to get the job done. It beat shelling corn by hand, a slow, calloused, and often painful chore, 1,000-fold. Its ingenuity lay in its simple mechanical advantage, turning human effort into rapid production. Its demise, of course, came with electrification and the advent of gasoline-powered shellers, then full-scale harvesting machinery, rendering the hand-cranked model obsolete. The hands that once turned that corn sheller likely held many other specialized tools, each a testament to a specific challenge. Take this next piece. It's a slender rod of hardened steel, maybe 8 to 10 inches long, with a distinct, sharply pointed, and slightly flattened tip. The other end often has a small, often wooden, handle or a simple, rounded knob. It looks almost like a primitive ice pick, or perhaps a miniature chisel, but it was for far more precise work than either of those. This is a marlinspike. While it might look simple, it was absolutely indispensable to sailors, riggers, and anyone working with ropes and knots. Imagine a sailor high in the rigging of a sailing ship, wind whipping around him, the canvas straining. He might need to untie a stubbornly tight knot, splice a thick rope, or open up the strands of a hawser to pass another line through. The marlinspike was perfect for this. Its tapered point could be driven into a tight knot or between rope strands, levering them apart without cutting or damaging the fibers. The round handle end was often used as a mallet for tapping. It was an extension of the sailor's hand, allowing for intricate and powerful manipulation of heavy rope. The surprising detail? Many marlinspikes were actually made from whalebone or horn in earlier eras, before steel became common, valued for their smoothness and strength against natural fibers. Its decline, naturally, paralleled the decline of sailing ships and the rise of synthetic ropes and mechanical winches that made such fine manual work less necessary. From the high seas to the quiet contemplation of a craftsman's bench, we find this next tool. It's a small, squat iron block, heavily discolored with age, perhaps 3 inches square. On its top surface are several V-shaped grooves, and often a series of small, precisely drilled holes. It's exceptionally heavy for its size, clearly designed to stay put. One might guess it's an anvil of some kind, but its features are too specialized for general blacksmithing. This is a riveting block, or sometimes called a rivet set, or bucking block. Primarily used by saddlers, trunk makers, and early sheet metal workers, it was essential for forming and setting rivets. Think of a harness maker assembling a sturdy leather bridle or a craftsman creating a reinforced metal trunk. They would punch holes in their material, insert a rivet, and then place the head of the rivet into one of the appropriately sized depressions or holes on this block. With the rivet head firmly supported, they could then use a hammer and a rivet-setting tool to peen over the other end, creating a strong, permanent joint. The various V-grooves allowed for different shapes and sizes of rivet heads to be formed cleanly and consistently. The ingenious part is its simplicity. It provided a stable, multifunctional base for a critical fastening technique. Its disappearance can be attributed to the rise of welding, stronger adhesives, and mass production methods that often used machine-set rivets or different fastening systems. Did your grandfather have one of these in his shed? Tell me below in the comments. Let's move to something a bit more rustic, born from the need to manage nature's bounty. This next item is a stout wooden handle, perhaps a foot or more long, firmly attached to a broad, curved piece of steel. The steel itself is often quite thin, but sharp along its leading edge, like a long, exaggerated knife blade that curls back on itself. It feels balanced, weighty, and looks like it could slice through something substantial. This is a bark spud. Its name sounds almost whimsical, but its purpose was entirely practical and widespread, especially in the timber industry and on farms. Lumberjacks, coopers, and farmers used the bark spud to strip bark from trees or logs. Picture a cooper preparing staves for a barrel. The quality of the barrel depended on clean, well-seasoned wood. Or imagine a farmer wanting to build a fence, needing to debark poles for durability. The curved blade of the spud was ideal for sliding under the bark and peeling it away in long strips, without damaging the valuable wood beneath. The curve also helped prevent the blade from digging too deep. It was a tool of both leverage and precision. The surprising detail is how often it was used for harvesting specific barks, like oak or hemlock, which were then used in tanneries for processing leather. The bark itself was a valuable commodity. Modern machinery for debarking logs and the decline of traditional cooperage and tanning methods led to the bark spud becoming a forgotten tool. Now, this next one is truly a head-scratcher for most. It's a wooden handle, perhaps a foot and a half long, sometimes with a T-grip. Attached to the end is a complex arrangement of metal, a flat, circular disc, often with teeth or serrations around its edge, and then a series of smaller metal rods or wires radiating out from its center, bent at an angle. It looks like some kind of strange whisk or an implement for grooming an animal, but its construction is too robust for delicate work. This is a hearth brush, but not for sweeping ashes from a fireplace in the way you might imagine. This was specifically designed for sweeping soot and ash from the inside of brick ovens, particularly the large, domed bake ovens found in old farmhouses and bakeries. The sturdy wooden handle provided the reach, while the metal disc and radiating wires were perfect for scraping and pulling down accumulated soot and ash from the curved interior surfaces. Unlike a regular broom or brush, the metal construction could withstand the residual heat of the oven and efficiently dislodge hardened deposits. Imagine a baker, having just removed their last loaf of bread, reaching in with this specialized brush to prepare the oven for the next day's firing. It needed to be clean for consistent heat and hygiene. The surprising detail? Many hearth brushes also had a scraper on the side of the disc to dislodge particularly stubborn burn-on bits. Its disappearance is directly linked to the decline of traditional brick bake ovens in favor of modern gas and electric ranges and commercial baking equipment. Our next tool brings us into the world of intricate woodworking, specifically the art of building sturdy wooden wheels. It's a specialized chisel, but unlike any ordinary one. The blade is long and relatively narrow, but instead of ending in a flat, sharp edge, it often has a U-shaped or V-shaped profile. The handle is robust, designed for striking with a mallet. It almost looks like a wood-carving gouge, but its application was far more specific and demanding. This is a spoke shave. Wait, no, that's not right. While a spoke shave is for shaping spokes, this specific tool with the U-shaped or V-shaped profile, designed for striking, is actually called a mortising chisel. Used by wheelwrights, coopers, and cabinet makers, it was essential for creating the precise rectangular or square holes, called mortises, into which tenons, projecting pieces of wood, would fit. Consider a wheelwright building a wagon wheel. Each spoke needed to be precisely fitted into the hub and the felloes, the sections of the rim. A mortising chisel, struck with a mallet, allowed for the controlled removal of wood to create these critical, strong joints. The specific U or V shape often related to the type of mortise being cut, or for clearing waste after an initial cut. The key was its robust construction and sharp, thick edge, designed to withstand heavy blows and remove significant material cleanly. The surprising detail is the sheer strength required to use these all day. It was a craft that demanded immense physical power and skill. The rise of machine-cut mortises and tenons, and the decline of hand-built wooden structures like wagon wheels and elaborate furniture, rendered these specialized chisels largely obsolete. Let's look at one that hints at the daily grind of pioneer life. This tool is a simple but sturdy piece of iron, often appearing like a thick, elongated, and slightly curved spike. One end is often flattened or has a simple loop for a handle, while the other tapers to a chisel-like point or a sharp, flattened edge. It looks like it could be used for digging, but it's too slender and sharp for broad excavation. This is a froe, or sometimes spelled froe. It was a truly fundamental tool for splitting wood, particularly for making shingles, fence palings, and even parts of furniture. Imagine a frontiersman needing to split a log into manageable pieces for a cabin roof or a farmer needing to quickly make boards for a lean-to. The froe was used by placing its sharpened edge on the end grain of a log, then striking the top of its blade with a wooden mallet, often called a froe club. The impact, combined with the froe's wedge-like action, would split the wood along its grain. The handle, projecting upwards, provided leverage to guide the split. It was a marvel of simple physics, allowing one person to create flat boards from round logs with far less effort than sawing. The surprising detail is how often it was used in conjunction with a cleaving brake, a notched log that held the timber steady while it was split. Its decline is directly linked to the invention of sawmills and the mass production of milled lumber, making the laborious hand-splitting of boards unnecessary. Finally, we have this small, rather elegant tool. It has a graceful wooden handle, often turned with a nice profile, attached to a slender metal shaft. At the end of the shaft is a small, curved scoop or blade, often with a sharpened edge. It looks like a miniature spoon, but its edge suggests it's for cutting or scraping something specific. This is a fruit corer, but not for apples in the way we use modern ones. This specialized tool, often found in antique kitchen collections, was used to remove the cores from larger fruits like pears, quinces, or even some melons, before they were baked, preserved, or prepared for pies. Imagine a colonial housewife preparing a large batch of spiced quince preserves. The small, sharp scoop allowed for the clean and efficient removal of the fibrous core and seeds, leaving the fruit intact and ready for cooking. The curved shape was perfectly designed to follow the natural contour of the fruit's interior. The surprising detail is how many variations existed, some even with a slight spiral twist to help extract the core more easily. Its decline came with the advent of more versatile kitchen gadgets, and the shift away from processing large quantities of fruit by hand in the home kitchen. These tools, each in its own way, tell a story of ingenuity, hard work, and the ceaseless human effort to shape the world around us. They are echoes of a time when every object was crafted with purpose, and every task had its own specialized implement. They remind us of the skilled hands that built this country, one meticulously performed task at a time, long before the age of automation. Drop your guess in the comments and subscribe for a new forgotten tool every day. There is always one more story in the toolbox.